Turn it up.
6.1 is evaluating nth roots and using rational exponents. Honestly, I really like chapter 6. There is some graphing in it. Like I said, we're going to have graphing in everything that we do. But there's also just lots of rules to follow. Okay? So if you can do rules, you can do this. Like, it's pretty straightforward. It's not tricking you or like asking this, then this. Okay? So it's just rules. Now, I know you don't. Okay? You can extend the concept of square roots to other types of roots. Okay? For example, 2 is a cube root of 8, right? Because 2 cubed is 8. 2 times 2 times 2. For an integer n greater than 1, if b to the n equals a, then b is an nth root of a. Okay? An nth root of a is written as the nth root of a, where n is the index of the radical. So what it's saying is this. If I have, like it has down there, if I have something a squared, yes? That's the same, okay? If I have a squared, that means I'm squaring a. If I have a to the 1/2, what am I actually doing to that? How can I? You're taking what? Yeah, say it. You're taking the square root of a. You're taking the square root of a. So anytime I have a fractional exponent, whatever is in the denominator spot becomes my root that I'm taking. And whatever is in the numerator spot goes inside with here. But because it's 1, I don't show that. Does that make sense? So if I were to have a to the, let's say, 3/2, okay, how would that be written? What goes on the outside? 2. So you're taking the square root of a to what power? Cubed. Okay? So I'm going to have to start moving things back and forth so that I can solve easier. Because sometimes it's easier to solve the square root of a as opposed to taking something to the 1/2 power. Okay? So if I can move it around so that I can manipulate the numbers and make it easier on me, that's what we're going to do. Okay? You have to be able to move them back and forth. With that being said, they have this.
That's mine. $20.
Okay? With that being said, they have these rules right here. The real nth roots of a. Okay? Let n be an integer where n is greater than 1. So what does n have to be? Greater than 1. So this denominator spot has to be greater than 1. Okay? If it's not greater than 1, we can't apply these rules to it. Okay? If n is greater than 1 and it's an even integer, what would be even integers? What would be examples of that?
2, 4, 6, 8.
So like 1/2, 1/4, 3/2. Okay, we're looking at that. Well, if it's an even, okay? If it's an even integer, this is, okay, a is less than 0. So if the letter a is less than 0, so if this is -1, okay, if this is -1/2, then there are no real roots. Okay? If a is equal to 0, so if you're taking the nth root of 0, you get 0. Because if I take the square root of 0, I get 0. If I take the cube root of 0, I get 0. If I take the 4th root of 0, I get 0. Okay? If a is greater than 0, there are 2 real answers, which we know this, right? When we take the square root of something, when we take the 4th root of something, we have 2 possible answers, a positive and a negative. Okay? When you have an odd integer, like a 3rd, a 5th, a 7th, things like that, if a is less than 0, there is 1 real answer. If a is equal to 0, you get 0 as your answer. If a is greater than 0, there is 1 real answer. Because you can have a negative answer in that. Okay? You don't need a negative and a positive or 2 negatives. You just need 1. Okay. With that being said, it says find the indicated real nth root of a. And it says n equals 3, a equals -216. N means that's the root I'm taking. So what root am I taking right now? So what does that look like? What does that mean? Not the square root. If my root is 3, I'm taking the what root? Cube root. So you're taking the cube root of -216. Okay, so I rewrite it like this. Now, -216. If I'm taking the cube root, how many answers are there? 1, because there's a negative inside and it's an odd root. Okay, one answer. So what is the cube root of negative 216? Guess what you can use? Yep.
4.16.
No, it's not. How do you plug it in? Do 3, do second, and the x squared, right? And then put in negative 216, you get what out? Negative 6.
Domain error.
Then user error.
Good idea.
You did 3, you did this,
Yeah.
negative 216.
I literally do that exact same.
Okay, so you get negative 6. So the cube root of negative 216 is negative 6. How do I set this one up? What root am I taking? No, the fourth root. The fourth root of 81. If I'm taking the fourth root, that is an even power, an even root. Okay, and I'm taking of 81, how many answers do I have? Yes?
Can you show me how to plug that in?
Uh-huh. You have 2 answers.
My calculator is
Yours is gonna be like this, you're gonna plug in 3, and then you press the shift key and that. I think this is how you do yours. And then, where's your,
See, why did it give you a multiplication sign, but it doesn't give me
Two, shift, and then this.
yeah, you have to press whatever your root is first, and then shift and that.
Is it the carrot or the?
Okay, what did you, I'm sorry, what did you guys get?
Mine doesn't give me a multiplication sign, but it's on you guys.
I get two answers.
You're not gonna get 2 answers, you have to think and know that you have 2 answers.
That would've been nice.
I got 3.
You guys said,
So it's 3 and negative 3.
You got 3,
And negative.
and so then it's 3, negative 3, yes.
36.
That's not possible.
36.
6. So you get plus or minus 3 is your answer. And another way to do this without your calculator would be to take 81, and what are you gonna do with it?
multiply it by.
You break it down into 9 and 9, which is 3, 3, 3, 3. And how many total did you need? 4. I have 4 3s, so I get plus or minus 3. You can always break it down too, okay, double check. I personally like to do the math way more than using my calculator. That's just me, because I like numbers. Okay, now, let's take a look at some other things. Okay, a rational exponent does not have to be in the form of 1 over 2, or 1 over 3, or 1 over 6. It doesn't have to have a 1 on the numerator spot, okay? Other rational numbers, such as 3 seconds and negative 1/2, can also be used as exponents. So you can have negatives, and you can have improper fractions, okay? 2 properties of rational exponents are shown below. If, let a to the 1 over n be an nth root of a, and let m be a positive integer. If I have a to the m over n, I just take that denominator spot and bring it on the outside, and then I raise the whole thing to the m power. If you have a negative m over n, you got to flip it first before you solve it, okay? Because I can't have negative exponents, right? So we flip and put it in fraction form, and then we solve the same way. We take 1 over the nth root of a to the m power, okay? And we'll practice some of these in just a second.
I think I should be an artist.
There's always something random that comes up. And we're gonna do 6 or 7 more examples, but some of them are just purely calculator work, okay? And then some are just like transferring it and solving it. These markers can't be good. Some more, I was gonna write it back.
Huh?
So this is not a desk marker, this is like a real marker.
Yeah, I realized that.
Good, way to be smart. Okay, let's look at this. So if I have 16 to the 3 seconds, how would I rewrite that? What root are you taking of 16? 2, the square root, because you look at the denominator. So you're taking the square root of 16, and then you're raising it to what power? 3. Okay, now listen. When I have square root, I don't actually show that 2 out there, right? So don't write it for me, because that's where we always forget that. So what is the square root of 16? 4. And then what is 4 cubed? 4 times 4 times 4.
64.
And then that would be my answer. Cool? How do I do 32 to the negative 3/5? What do I have to do first? Do what? Flip it. So I'm going to say 1 over 32 to the 3/5. Now, what root am I taking? Yes, the 5th root of 32 cubed. Yes? What is the 5th root of 32? What number goes into 32 5 times? I can always do a factor tree and break it down.
6.
What are you doing at 6? What goes into 32? Pick the numbers that go into it.
Oh,
8.
never mind.
8
4.
and 4. What does 4 break down into?
2.
What does 8 break down into?
1,
And what does 4 break down
2.
into? So what is the 5th root? 2. So then I end up getting 2. I get 1 over 2 cubed. What's 2 cubed? 2 times 2 times 2.
69. Wait, no, 8.
So my answer is 1/8.
I was thinking like 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 times 4 is 16.
I know what you were thinking. He's like, wait a
I
second.
was thinking how many times 5 and
I know. So if you need to, break it down into factor trees. I think factor trees are the easiest way to do this. Break it down and get going.
Then explain what it's found.
Okay, now, we want to solve these equations. Okay? How would I solve 4x to the 5th equals 128?
5 by 4.
Okay, what's 128 divided by 4?
32.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now, how do you solve that? X to the 5th equals 32.
See what goes. Oh, it's 2.
Take the what? Take the 5th
It's
root.
2.
You have to take the 5th root of both sides.
It's 2.
Okay, give me a second. Why am I taking the 5th root of both sides?
Because there's a 5.
So that this will cancel, giving you x, right? What is the 5th root of radical 32?
2.
And it's an odd power, so is it 1 or 2 answers? 1. Yes, good job, Kaden. Now, how do I solve parentheses x minus 3 to the 4th equals 21? What do you have to do first? Yeah, take what root? The 4th root, because it's the 4th power. Instead of multiplying x minus 3 times x minus 3 times x minus 3 times x minus 3, and then bringing 21 over and putting it equal to 0, and then factoring back, we're just going to make it simple. Okay, so I'm taking the 4th root. When I take the 4th root, this cancels, right? Giving me x minus 3 equals. What is the 4th root of 21? Okay, 2 point what?
1, 4, 6, 9.
Okay. Okay, so you get 2 points, rounded to 2 decimals for me. 2.14. Okay, now, question. If that's the 4th root, how many answers do you have? 2. So you're going to say plus or minus 2.14, yes? Now, how do I solve for x from here? Add 3 to both sides. When I add 3 to 2.14, what do you get?
5.14.
And when you add 3 to negative 2.14, what do you get? What'd you get?
I got 0.86.
Beautiful.
Oh, okay.
So, I should have 2 options here, yes? Now, unless the problem tells you to plug it back in and figure out if both work, we're just leaving it at that. Cool?
So there's only one of those working that.
Not necessarily. They could both work, or one could only work. It depends. Mainly with absolute value, a lot of times only one's going to work, or that range, you know. But sometimes it just depends. Now, a study determined that the weight W in grams of coral cod near Palawan Island, Philippines.
Did you know, the Taal volcano in the Philippines is exploding?
Is it really?
Yes.
My goodness, is your mom's family around there?
Yep. They evacuated the island.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. It can be approximated using the model W for weight equals 0.0167 L cubed. Okay, where L is the coral cod's length in centimeters. That's a lot to say, a coral cod. Estimate the length of the coral cod that weighs 200 grams. So what do I need to do to solve this or set this up? What do you think? To plug in 200 to what? To W. If I plug 200 into W, I get this. 200 equals 0.0167 L cubed. Now what do you have to do? How do I do that? Yeah. Divide by 0.0167, and you get L cubed equals what?
11,976.085.
11,976. I'm just gonna round to that, okay? 11,976. Beautiful. Now what do you have to do to solve from there? Take the cube root. Take the cube root. What's the cube root of 11,976?
22.8.
Okay, so 22.9. 22.9 equals the length. Okay. Yeah, we need to write centimeter. Is that the length it's in? Beautiful. Cool. Okay. The other thing that you're gonna have to do is this. Can you evaluate something like this?
No.
If it says evaluate, how are you gonna do that?
Flipping.
No.
That's
Don't make it harder than you need to. What are you gonna use?
0.2. 0.5.
Okay, listen, is there a fifth root of 9?
Did you say 0.5?
No. So because that's not possible, what are we gonna use?
0.2.
What do you have? What tool do you have? Calculator. If it is a root that is not possible to take, like I can't take the fifth root of 9, okay? If it's something like that, plug it in your calculator. 9, okay? And then you're gonna use that caret button, yes? And parentheses 1/5. What do you get when you do that?
1.5.
You get 1.5, well, 1.55, so 1.6, rounded. Okay, so approximately 1.6. So any ones that you can't transfer because it's not possible, just plug it in your calculator and give me that decimal. Got it? Okay. This is what you are working on tonight. Shouldn't be too bad.